Hey everybody, welcome to this video. It's the continuation in the series on Great Expectations. Check out Mr. Bruff's Guide to Great Expectations. It's £3.99 at mrbruff.com or amazon.co.uk, written by Edna Hobbs. A really useful guide to a very complex novel, so do pick up a copy. What I want to talk to you about today is the assessment objectives for the literature question on Great Expectations, and I want to just talk through how you would think about these assessment objectives for this novel. So AO1, read, understand and respond to texts, maintain a critical style, develop an informed personal response, use textual references including quotations to support and illustrate interpretations. Well, what does that mean? Let's break it down. It really means that you've got to know the whole story so that you can mention other relevant events or characters. That's what we're talking about with reference. All of the exam boards offer an extract. Use relevant quotes from there and learn a few key quotes that could be relevant to several questions. Character descriptions are particularly adaptable. You've got to link what you write to the task set and keep showing how Dickens is achieving a purpose. This is what is meant by maintaining a critical style. You don't want to just retell the story. For AO2, we've got language, form and structure analysis. Now for language, we want to be looking at imagery, language that creates a mood or highlights an attitude in a character. You want to mention other possible interpretations of the language. Are there a series of verbs denoting action, for example, or lots of adjectives that emphasize the same thing? When you write about what effect Dickens achieves by using them, you'll be writing about language. Form, what do we need to think about? Well, Great Expectations is a novel that was first written in serial form, and when you write about the use of dialogue in a passage or detailed descriptions being used to slow the pace down, you're writing about form. Are opposites being focused on, or does the way the extract is written contrast in style with other chapters? For example, if characters speak simply, whereas in other chapters they're more verbose, more wordy. Structure, when you say what came before your extract or chapter and what it's preparing the reader for, you're writing about structure. What effect does Dickens achieve by revealing information in the order he chooses? Does it build suspense? Does it foreshadow? What has changed from the start of the extract or chapter to the end? How has the story or character been developed? That's the sort of thing you need to be thinking about for AO2. AO3, context is the background information that helps the reader orientate the story. When you mention things that affect Dickens's work and the reader's response to it, you're writing about context. But you only want to mention contextual information where it is relevant to the task or extract. Don't tag it on as a paragraph of facts. You need to weave it in to explain attitudes or expectations. If relevant, you might refer to Dickens's own life, so his changed financial and social situation, that he'd spent part of his youth in Kent, so he knew the marshes well. The historical setting, Victorian era, the location of Kent and London, and suggest how this might influence the story. The social and cultural context, so the attitudes in society, for example, the way criminals were shipped off to Australia with no hope of returning to Britain, or that women like Estella were expected to make financially advantageous marriages, expectations of different cultural groups, like the fact that the classes were supposed to keep to their own place and dress differently. The literary context of the text, for example, literary movements or genres in the 19th century novel, the lives of ordinary people are also of interest to readers. You might write about the way in which texts are received and engaged with by different audiences at different times. For example, how a text may be read differently in the 21st century from when it was written. Today, the upbringing Miss Havisham submitted Estella to would be illegal in Britain rather than romantic, and Pip's change of fortune would not be quite so unusual. AO4 is accuracy and style. This is something to work on well before the exam, but you have to note that for most exam boards there are no specific marks for AO4 in this task. But some of the things you can focus on for AO4 are, of course, make sure that you spell names correctly, plan your work, open with a very brief introduction which says what you're going to do, that sort of thing. So that's how you would think about the assessment objectives. And what I'm going to do in the next video is look at a sample question and apply these assessment objectives and think about these assessment objectives with the sample question. But in the ebook, you'll find that sample question and answer as well.